Hello. It is Monday, and it's time for Pop in Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, along with my amazing co-host tonight. We have Yana and Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
All right. So, again, as I always say, join the conversation by leaving a comment on YouTube or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. If you miss us here on YouTube, you can watch us on Rumble, or you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We are an independent media, guys, and if you want to support what we do, your super chats and donations go a long way in helping us produce conservative content. Any amount is appreciated. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that understand we are living in urgent times. There's a target on our backs, just like there's a target on President Trump's back, and it's because we choose freedom. But we must continue to stand. Let's stand together, subscribe, and amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, lots to get to tonight. Let's set it off. How are you all doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Yes. All right. Awesome. So we're going to get right into it. Lots to unpack tonight. Want to start off, we had an amazing live with you guys. If you guys haven't checked it out, we had an amazing live here on Friday night. Was it Thursday? Thursday night, where we unpacked the guilty verdict of President Trump in New York City, unpacked it. It was amazing. Guys, everyone who tuned in were awesome. And but tonight I want to talk about the real reason why they hate President Trump. And there's a lot that goes into this. I want to show you guys or bring to you this video that we have here goes into a lot of why they hate Trump. And when we say they, we're talking about globalists, we're talking about elitists, we're talking about Marxists, we're talking about anti-religious. All of those factions are coming together and they are trying to bring President Trump down. And that's Democrats too. Leftists, Marxists is all the same to me at this point. I want to bring you guys this video, and then ladies, I want you to respond. All right, take a look here. And this is just the beginning of it, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
Everyone's in on the Great Reset. Well, almost everyone. There's one guy who's got the power to do something to stop it, and you know exactly where I'm going. And they made a mistake. They tried to get Trump on their side, so they invited Donald Trump to Davos, I think a couple of times. But in January, when Donald Trump, I think, really began to see the beast that he was up against, he went to Davos, to the World Economic Forum, and he stuck a MAGA finger in their eye.
We're committed to conserving the majesty of God's creation and the natural beauty of our world. But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives. We will never let radical socialists destroy our economy, wreck our country.
2 days after Donald Trump gave that speech, the 89.
All right, I want to get into that first part because we're going to break it down. I want to get your response to what he just said. Shelly, he talked about, the apocalyptic left or the apocalyptic elite. He talked about radical socialism, all of these things, kind of what I mentioned earlier, which are trying to come against President Trump. Do you agree, disagree there? What are your thoughts?
I agree there. I just want to, I guess, elaborate a little bit further. And I didn't watch this whole thing yet, but I will watch the whole clip. But every system, every organization, every group, if you will, since the beginning of time, every religion for that matter, has had an opposition. So anytime you come against a large, if you will, or a powerful organization, institution, whatever, there's going to be some pushback. And there's a whole lot of theories, some psycho theories that might help to explain this. But the bottom line is that when someone comes up against a powerful, if you will, again, a powerful entity, there's going to be pushback, even if that person is espousing the truth.
Yeah. I want to get you in on this, Yana, and kind of just to kind of dissect what Shelley just said. Do you agree it's the same? We're talking about here, I mean, this is globalism. So this is what his speech was about. He's pushing back against globalism. As we all know, he's this America First candidate. Is this something different with what Trump is doing and the opposition that is coming against him? Or do you believe this is something that we've seen play out within history time and time again?
I think it has played out before in history, and America in general has been on top of, I guess, the food chain for decades, and also the whole idea with America First or Make America Great Again is actually speaking about that historically, America has been competing with with other countries economically and with its influence, and the goals of the globalists, I think, is really to equalize all these countries. So they don't want America to really stand out. They want to economically equalize, let's say, Soviet European Union and United States. And so really to kind of that's why America has to pay more into all these funds and what is it, NATO. Like America has to pay a lot more than other countries because America historically has been doing better. And so it's really like this global communism. And so I think definitely historically other presidents have called on, I think, pretty sure Kennedy, that was his message as well, to make America great. And so I think that's what he was talking about, and that's what they didn't like.
Yeah. Okay. I want to move forward then to this next part of this. And, you know, after Trump said what he said there in the first part, then we see, you know, the response to that. And so I want to move forward here on that. Let me see here. Okay, here we are. I want to go forward to this part. Okay, take a look here.
Stuck the MAGA finger in their face. Here's what Francis, the Vatican, and Jeffrey Sachs had to say in response.
And it is a dangerous country right now. It will be absolutely dangerous if Trump wins re-election. Trump wins re-election. Trump wins re-election.
Francis invited this guy to the Amazon Synod as an honored guest and advisor. He's also Bernie Sanders' advisor. What's he doing in the Vatican? Why is this guy who's a promoter for a socialist, out and out socialist, Bernie Sanders, what's he doing advising the Pope? Why does he have entree to the Vatican, friends? Sachs supports abortion and contraception, but that's not a problem for the Vatican. For the Vatican, for Pope Francis, and for his friends at the UN, Donald Trump is the problem, obviously, friends.
Clearly, I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020.
Do you get it? Do you see why there's so much hate for Trump?
So I want to talk about that. And of course, that was, I believe, George Soros. So again, we do hear, which I don't believe we've ever heard as much, at least before, this, as Trump mentioned, this apocalyptic type speech when we're talking about Trump. And then when you couple that with the opposition pushing globalism, so this idea of, and we saw that it kind of sped up with the lockdowns and with COVID and things like that. It seems like it feels a little different than what we've ever seen in the past or in history. Am I reaching here?
And I would say in modern times, at least, it is different. But let me say this: what those people, I'll call them people, what they're saying is true. Trump is dangerous. He's dangerous to their agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So they're telling the truth in that sense. He's dangerous to their agenda. Why? Because he's telling the truth. He speaks, to real people and like real people. He doesn't couch a lot of his things in these fancy, want to sound big sounding words and concepts. He makes it clear to the people, particularly the American people. So he is a danger to what they want to do. And I just said a few minutes ago, I say it regularly on this show. Communism, globalism, leftism, it is as much a religion as Christianity and Judaism. Who did you see there? You saw the Pope. This is a religion to them. And in any, just like anything in society, religion is one of the things, at least, that people do not give up easily, if at all. Mm-hmm. So Trump is a danger to their standards, their principles, their agenda. He is. They told the truth in that sense.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this, Yana, and just particularly to the idea, especially with what we're seeing with Marxism, and a lot of their ideas are Marxist. And I mentioned in the last show, Karl Marx was a Satanist. So when you couple that with what Shelley said about a religion, are we talking about Satanism? I mean, do you believe that could be what is behind this Marxism now, this globalism? It's really Satanism?
It's possible. It could be something like Luciferianism, something like that. They believe in that they are the enlightened ones, and they follow the light, enlightenment. And so they think that everyone else are ignorant people who are religious. That's how they view religious people as not evolved enough. Like it's Marxists have expressed that, because they showed themselves as the logical, the reasonable, they're the future. Same thing with Nazis. They also were not pro Christianity. They went back to their pagan roots, and they also thought that they were progressive. And when I listen to George Soros, I'm sorry, with that German accent, I mean, that's just a pure Nazi speaking there. It's obvious. And he has said that he was in the Nazi, was it Junge, the Hitler Junge, and he was pillaging his own people. So I don't understand how he is even a thing. Like, how is he still even listened to by anyone? He's a clear Nazi, and he sounds like one. And then Pope Francis, he's not a Catholic. I think he could be some sort of Satanist, because he has done really strange things. He invited pagans to the Vatican. He invited drag queens to the Vatican. Now, obviously, he is a socialist. Absolutely, he has expressed that himself. So they all think that they're the more enlightened ones, and they're going to create a new world, and we are in the way.
Yeah, and specifically when you look at the Democrat Party now, even with Joe Biden, President Biden's push in his platforms, all that we see they're talking about is abortion. They're talking about LGBT. They're talking about, again, the globalism, like this idea of pushing everyone into these global efforts. We've talked about in the past the ESGs and how they're trying to push that into financial institutions, where global environment, social, and governance investment rules financial institutions based off of their social scores and things like that. So when we look at those things and you research Satanism, those are some of the big platforms within that cult, within that occult: abortion, sacrifice of children, It's not very, they don't value humanity, humankind, the whole revolution idea. They also push human self-consciousness as a supreme Godhead. The aim is to draw all mankind towards this. So again, these kind of things keep sticking out to me. And I think we don't talk about it enough. We do say that this idea of the left is they've taken on a religion, but what religion? And I think it's
I don't know. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I don't know if it matters what religion, because I think that's the trap that people get caught up in. For Americans, because then we get into, oh, this religion is right and this religion is wrong, and it just gets into another fight. I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I'm saying for the left, they would say, no, we're not Satanists and we don't worship Satan, whatever. However, if we want to just keep it simple, so to speak, we can take it back to 3 concepts that we have in our Constitution: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And even if you had those 3 concepts, you can place it against Christianity, compare it to Christianity, or compare it to any other religion in opposition. But we simplify that, it gets us out of the quote unquote the religious fight, which religion is better, and you're going to hell or you're not. Maybe people are. I'm not saying they are or not. But it just simplifies it, which is what Trump does, which is why he's considered a populist, if you will, America loving. Keep it simple, because getting into these, I don't know, these little, I'm not going to say, no, they're not little, these other details and intricacies of what religion has this doctrine versus that gets people, it goes over people's heads. Let me say it that way. It goes over a lot of people's heads.
I have to disagree with you there, because to me, if we don't call it for what it is, if we don't really understand what they're actually pushing, if we do not draw the comparisons between this communism, Marxism, and Satanism, because there are a lot of comparisons, a lot of similarities, then I think we miss what is really happening. It's not about just Trump, which Trump has even said. It's not about just Republican and Democrat. What we're dealing with is not even about sin, because I personally believe sin and evil are different than Satanism. When you look at this idea of just the destruction within, I was in cities and things, people are just throwing trash on the ground. And you think, when you first glance, you think, oh, well, it's just people are just ignorant. That is part of Satanism. It's a degradation and a dirtying of everything.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to pick out these things and draw the similarities. We are not talking about just right now politics. Mm-hmm. We're not just talking about Democrats. It's much deeper. And that's what this video points out.
Yeah. They have a philosophy. So I agree with you. They have a philosophy. Yeah. It's not just, they have a philosophy, an agenda. They have a code, goals, rules that they follow. So they're codified. They're organized.
Right. Exactly.
And we need to recognize that.
That's why I say there's a religion.
They know it. And if we're not calling it by its name and actually picking these things out, then I don't think we'll ever overcome, because they're walking in the shadows, or sort of hidden, but they have an agenda.
So, I agree they have an agenda. That's why I say they are as much a religion. I think what I'm saying, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think what I'm saying is that to most people, they may not necessarily associate it instantly with Satanism, but I like the way Giovanni said it, like communism is a Satan worshiping religion. So at the center of their religion, they are ultimately worshiping what Satan has put forth versus, let's say, a monotheistic religion.
What Satan would have wanted. I mean, if you understand, like, the concept of Satan is he wants to remove God.
I get that. I agree with that. I'm not saying I disagree. What I'm saying is that I think for many people to start there and not maybe piece it together, if you will, piece the parts together, the codifying of whatever it is they believe in, and different, and showing them examples and how this all leads to that. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I just think to start there, I think that would most people, it would be impetus for most people to say, no, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. If we don't start with the I guess the actual parts of the whole.
All right, I see what you're saying there. Okay, I do want to acknowledge a super chatter here. All right, we have LAPD SWAT one.
Yes.
All right, let me see here. All right, do we have that? Okay, says don't forget the Summit of the Future, September 24th, NYC.
Wow.
UN. They just burned the whole thing down this fall. Yeah, and again, that is another characteristic of Satanism. So it's the idea of destruction for destruction's sake. They're not trying, like, for instance, American Revolution was fought for independence. Same with the French Revolution. But with this, they're just, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, they're just fighting to tear things up. It's and then
to create a new society, to create a new future.
It's a
from in their view, like how it's supposed to be. And like I said, in their view, they're the enlightened ones, and they need to get rid of people who believe otherwise.
Right.
And however they can get rid of them, and that's why they're going after children. That's why they're in education system. Right now, we see, I mean, it's June, so you see it everywhere, where this influence, it's crazy to see, this America was built on Christian values, and now we have all these public institutions are celebrating deviancy. This month, it's in public libraries, public schools, health departments, all these places. In our area, there's a bus, an entire bus is a gay bus. I mean, it's colored in gay colors, and it's like public transit, and all our money, our tax money, is going into this kind of propaganda that a lot of people probably don't support, actually. And why are we okay with
why? But when we look into this, when you really think about it, why are they pushing this so much? Again, we've well past the idea of acceptance. We are well past that. But now we've gone into the realm of just vulgarity. I have a video to show. I mean, it's gone back, past just love, but now it's more into the sexual acts, the butt plugs, the anal sex, all of this, the vulgarity of it all. And when you look into Satanism, that's what it's about. It was orgies, and it's an inverse opportunity. So what they would do is they would use religious ceremonies, and I'm not even talking about just Satanism. This was within Marxism, and they would use these religious ceremonies for homosexuality, orgies, sacrificing children. And this is what they're pushing in platforms now in our political discourse.
What's interesting is that if you think about it, again, historically, and I'm talking about like prehistory, if you will, or, Mayans, Aztecs, every society, Babylonians, Sumerians, every society known to man has basically lived or experienced or practiced, if you will, paganism, right? Every society. America comes along, or the West in general, and really gets rid of that. Even the holidays that we talk about, you mentioned all these pride holidays, Jan, or all these pride activities, right? Taking over the calendar. Well, remember, we didn't always have a Christian calendar, if you will, or a Julian calendar. Every society has come along and built on another society. Whereas for the most part of history, paganism was the religion.
But again, we did mention, and I've mentioned this before, yes, that was the case. But
so we're going backwards, is what I'm saying.
Right. We are going back.
it's not necessarily going backwards,
Yeah.
because right now, even in those societies, it was not legitimized. It was not codified in everyday main culture. Now
Well,
we are seeing
No, but I don't
it
know what you mean by that, because there
mm,
are codes in prehistoric and even early historic times. Those were the, if you want, the religious rites and practices of those cultures. America, and again, in general, the West came along with monotheism, with Judaism in particular, with the Bible that we have, the Pentateuch, and outlawed, changed, whatever word
well,
you
that's
want
what
to
I
use,
mean.
all of that.
Since
Roman
that's what I mean.
Roman Empire
Right.
definitely had their
Yes,
religion,
it did.
and their pagan religion was definitely codified,
Exactly.
and they were very unusual, well, from our perspective, rituals that they were doing, fertility rituals. They had orgies. It was
Exactly.
children were very much exposed to all these things. It was
But
not hidden.
again,
It was not hidden from children. And so one of the things that when the monotheistic religions were coming to Europe and to other places, in one of the reasons why leaders accepted a monotheistic religion is in order to unify the people, and in order to strengthen the nation. Because when you have these pagan groups, they were not really unified. They had
right.
a different god for different village, different city, and it was very warfare. Conflict was
It was
very.
chaos
It was chaos.
because
So
it's Satanism.
paganism
We
brings
said
chaos.
Satanism, it was Satanism.
Mhm.
And when you mention these things, they are all part and parcel of worship of Satan. Any type of culture, or any type of culture where they do things like that, where you have child sacrifice, where you have orgies and things like that, that is all part and parcel of Satanism. And it's just been called different names throughout different time periods. And so I think that's where we kind of are weakened, because instead of focusing on that is what it is, we've kind of called it different names, and we're not really recognizing that time and time again over the centuries, this is what it is. I want to take you
Right. Yeah.
forward to the next part of this video, because they touch on it a little bit. Let me just see here. Take a look here. Make sure I'm at the right part.
And he declared war on globalism.
Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
And shortly after the speech at the UN, Donald Trump delivered, what do you think happened? The coronavirus was unleashed on the world, and Trump's booming U.S. economy went on life support. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did have that. We had that. And this video goes into that. I don't want to spend too much more time on this. I do want to get to one more part here. Let me see here. Okay, here we are. Take a look here.
These people, they don't care about babies. They want them aborted so that they can save the common home. Abort babies, millions of them all over the world. They don't care about babies. They don't care about old people. In fact, if you want to save your grandma, tell the globalists to stay the hell away from her. You remember how some of them, like Cuomo and characters like this, were running COVID recovering patients through nursing homes? That's how much they care about grandma. And the name of the game now is to bring the United States economy to its knees, get it out of the way, so that everyone will want the Great Reset. Make the new normal so intolerably abnormal that even you and I, maybe, at some point in the near future, will be begging for the vaccines because we'll be driven crazy by that point. Begging for whatever else is going to keep us safe, according to our jailers and our handlers and our zookeepers. You see? That's what they want. That's why they keep using this term, new normal.
New normal.
You know what we do to fight back? Go to work.
All right. I want to get your response to that, Shelley, what he said there.
Well, I mean, I agree with him. Again, when someone comes out with the truth, and people, if you've been living a lie so long, if you have been sucking and dependent on the government, not just for your tangible goods, but even to literally tell you what to think, right? Then this is what you're going to fight against someone who seemingly is coming up against what you are dependent on. Donald Trump. He's espousing American values. He's espousing, independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, if you are not accustomed to doing that, then he's a detriment to what your normal quote unquote way of life is. I don't understand. I guess I do, but this has been the norm. Freedom is the abnormal in history. Mm-hmm. Freedom is the abnormal in history. So to espouse freedom, you're going against what typically is the norm, and that's to be dependent on the government, the state, whatever, the tribe, or whomever else.
Yeah, and Yana, I mean, do you believe that Trump he represents opposition to these elites, to, like this man is mentioning, the powers that be?
Right. I mean, he is in the UN, which is an organization that was created to basically equalize everyone, to make a one world that kind of, I guess, plays by these global communist rules, and they equalize everyone. Now, he's at the UN saying that the world doesn't belong to globalists. The world doesn't belong to you people who organized this organization. And he said the same thing at Davos. And so he is in their cave, in their lair, saying these things. So obviously they're angry with him. Now, when he's speaking like this, the one thing that I have to think about is he sounds exactly like Putin.
Who?
Putin, Trump, exactly. Like the stuff that he's saying is exactly what Putin is saying, and that's why Putin is so popular right now and has been. And the West hates Putin. I mean, you can disagree with some of his tactics, but he is also saying the same thing, that the world doesn't belong to globalists, that there has to be a multipolar world. Everyone, that people, you have to, the good leader takes care of their own country and nobody else, really. Like, you don't have to care about other countries. You have to, if you're good. And when I go to former Soviet Union, when I go to Russia, they have respect for Trump. They, of course, they don't want Trump to, I don't know, fight them, but they have respect for him. They understand him as a leader. They say he cares about his country. They get him. They like Trump way more than they like Biden. I mean, they really do not like Biden. And so the whole world, but at the same time, what I'm saying, like thinking about this, there's a lot of opposition to these globalists right now, and Trump happens to be in America, and they got his hands on him. And we're the ones who have to fight back for ourselves and for Trump.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it on here many times. I mean, this election, I still say, is probably the most important election of our lifetime. Once again, if Biden gets back in there, he is going to use this as a mandate, and this country is going to be torn apart. It's going to be full chaos. I mean, and we're seeing it. I mean, just here in Maryland, we've had a Republican governor. He was a rhino governor, Hogan, but he did govern as far as the business and economy. He did govern as a conservative. I don't agree with him socially, but as a conservative, he did. Now look, we've had, what's his name, in Westmore, and they just dropped our rating. Did you guys see that news report? They just dropped our state rating here in Maryland because our economy is not doing well. And I think this is the first time that's happened in many, many years, if at all. Do you know?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it briefly. I haven't read through it, but I saw it briefly. Look, wherever the left is in control, you better believe that the society, the stability, the foundations will be destroyed. No matter what, the financial systems, they will be destroyed because they do not believe in capitalism, entrepreneurship. They want everyone dependent on the government. In that sordid, sick way, everybody is equally poor, basically. Everybody is equally dependent, right? There's no independent thought, right? No independent thought. Definitely, there's no independence. There's not even any individuality, if you will, right? Now, you can be individual in the pride parades and all drag queens and stuff, but you are a part of this big cabal. You are a part of what I call the Borg. All you Trekkies know what the Borg is.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly. And we've talked about this. You know, he came in the office first. He went through our surplus. That's done. That's gone. And now we have here out today, Moody's ratings downgraded Maryland's financial outlook from stable to negative in a release today. The credit rating agency affirmed the state's issuer and general obligation bond ratings at the AAA status despite the change in the state's financial outlook. Well, so again, I mean,
socialists don't understand economics.
Right.
They think that money is just going to generate by itself. It's amazing to me that we have so much information from history how socialism doesn't work and that you need capitalism in order to prop it up. So if you don't give people opportunities to grow, to build their businesses, if you keep stifling them, you're not going to have a good economy.
Exactly.
They don't care about that. They don't want that. They want you dependent on the government. They want the government control. Good economy, that's not even a thought that they want. They think that their economy, remember, economy is just how the goods are distributed, right? That's basically what economy means. They want the government to be the distributor of the goods.
Yeah, exactly. And as you mentioned, we don't even hear Biden. Ever since we saw how Bidenomics kind of been like a huge failure, we don't even hear them talking about that anymore. Now, the whole line within Biden's platform is number one, the LGBT. Number two, it's the what was I going to say? LG and abortion. Those are the top two platforms that they are running on. He's running on for re-election. That's all they're pushing: abortion and LGBT. And
Satanism. They're pushing
exactly
more Satanism. So they're all in the same cult.
And so is Governor Hogan now.
Yeah.
No, I know. I want to move on.
We should maybe look at some of the comments. Yeah, we have tons of comments.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have here. MTG was awesome today. Yes, she was. She was.
With Fauci, right?
Yeah. Talking about Fauci. That's where we're going next. I want to talk about what she said and the hearings that were going on within Fauci. What happened today? Let me see here. One moment. So we posted on our YouTube channel. She went in on a reporter today after leaving the hearing with, as she called, Mr. Fauci. And, God bless her for it. God bless her for saying that. She says, Mr. Fauci, and she got in a little bit of trouble for that. They wanted her to use his correct name, Dr. Fauci, but he shouldn't be a doctor. He shouldn't be one. Take a look here. This is what she said. We posted this on our page earlier today. Let me see here.
We have Jamie Raskin in there accusing us of worshiping Trump, worshiping as a convicted felon. Well, yeah, so is George Floyd.
Yep.
And everybody, and you all too, the media worship George Floyd. Democrats worship George Floyd. There were riots burning down the fucking country over George Floyd. I worship God. And Jesus is my savior. I don't worship President Trump. And I'm really sick and tired of the bullshit annex I have to deal with constantly from the Democrats. The Democrats don't have anything. They're responsible for the lockdowns, forced vaccinations, kids being forced to stay home, people committing suicide, and all the horrors that this country lived through during COVID. Fauci belongs in prison. He should be tried for mass murder, and he should be tried for crimes against humanity. That's how I feel after that hearing. That's how the American people feel.
Yes, yes. Tell it, girl.
Jamie
All right.
Raskin in there accusing us of worshiping Trump, worshiping as a convicted felon.
That's what she said. First of all, I want to say this is the difference between the right and the left. You see what she said? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. She didn't stutter. She does not worship Trump.
Right.
We said this over and over again. None of us, well, most of us, there's a small percentage that do, but most of us do not worship Trump. We worship God through his son, Jesus Christ. Nobody else, we don't do that. And this is what the left tries to paint us as, saying we idolize Trump. No, they idolize Obama. They idolize government and things like that. We do not. And I love that she set them straight on that. I want to get your thought. We're going to get into Fauci. What are your thoughts on this, Shelley?
No, I think MTG was absolutely correct. I love her fire. I love her boldness. Again, she's another one. She says what she's thinking. Yes, she was wrong a couple weeks ago with what's her name, Jasmine Crockett. But okay, so what? A broken clock is right twice a day too. So okay. But anyway, she was wrong that one time. But look, they're gonna make her. They're gonna paint her as if she's a fanatic, no matter what. So why not take the stand on truth, stand on being, right and bold, because you're going to be painted wrong no matter what. So just have the courage to say whatever it is that you think and what you know is right.
Yeah. Your thoughts on this,
unlike our Governor Hogan.
I know.
Yeah, she was amazing. That was amazing. And the leftists, the Democrats, they have so many idols. Like you said, they definitely worship Obama, the Barack Obama. Michelle Obama is like their goddess. And then Fauci, they literally had "In Fauci We Trust" signs. Like I saw them in DC. Like how cringy is that? And they thought that they were so cool with that. I love Fauci, and they had like those dances, the TikTok dances. It's literally worshiping. They have rituals to these people, to these ideals. They COVIDism was their religion.
Get paid.
And still is.
Store.
So I mean, what are they talking about? They're the most cultist people.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And remember the governor in New York used to have on the COVID necklace. I mean, was weird.
Like a vax necklace or something. Like vaccination was like their baptism. Like literally, like that's you can equate the way that they treated vaccination is how, I guess, fanatically people could treat, religious fanaticism. Like if you're not vaccinated, you're not part of the cult. Exactly. And you have to wear a mask. You have to, this is the sign that you're part of us, one of us. And if you don't have it, we can stone you. Like they literally treated people as second-class citizens, as someone else. It was horrible. And if people don't remember that, we cannot forget what kind of things they did in Fauci's name.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And I have a video here I want to share, and then I want to talk about his what he said, what happened with his congressional record, because he admitted that there was no scientific evidence behind the 6-foot social distancing protocol and the guidelines for masking for children. He admitted it all today. This man should be behind bars, I believe personally. Yeah. Take a look. Here's a montage of exactly everything that he put us through. Right here.
That did that.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is on Capitol Hill today to discuss the coronavirus pandemic with lawmakers. Fauci will speak with the House Select Subcommittee behind closed doors for 2 days. Fauci has also agreed to testify in a public hearing later this year.
I didn't recommend locking anything down. I didn't shut down anything. If you get vaccinated, you are protected, even with the Delta variant. The risk is extremely low of getting infected, of getting sick, or of transmitting it to anybody else.
There's only one theory that they're willing to rule out. They say it's extremely unlikely the virus leaked from a lab.
The gain-of-function research was going on in that lab,
God,
and NIH funded it. You do not know what you are talking about.
The biggest public policy failure of my lifetime.
I represent science.
Represent science.
Down on you because you wrote an op-ed.
Science and the truth are being attacked.
Yeah, they lied.
I recommended to the president that we shut the country down. Vaccinated people who do have a breakthrough infection are clearly capable of transmitting. And you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individuals. I totally resent that. And if anybody is lying here, Senator, it is you.
I'm sorry, this guy's a fucking scumbag. I can't help it. I know.
Is to flood the system with correct.
He knew what he was doing. That's the crazy thing.
Mad science experiment. I mean, that would be, you go down in history as one of the world's greatest monsters.
I think history will judge me by what I've done.
Yeah, this is coming up on the Blaze Media, and I want to just bring that to you guys. I mean, this man is probably, you talk about Satan. He knew that the things that he was pushing adamantly was such he just came across as he was doing. He knew this was it. This was solid. There was no other way. He knew that wasn't the case, and he pushed it the way he did vehemently anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is that when it first started, I remember him saying that we don't need masks. Like, I clearly remember that. So because I was paying attention, I didn't know what the heck was going on in the beginning. And so I remember him saying, don't take it that serious. It's not that serious. And, also he was saying basically the mask is not going to protect you even if you do wear it.
That was the truth.
Right. And then he completely switched. So how does he expect us to believe? Like, I'm also amazed that people ended up believing him, because if a doctor, a scientist is saying one thing one time and then 2 weeks later he's saying something completely different, that's
because everyone was afraid. And he preyed on this fear and pushed forward a scamdemic, a new world order. This is the Great Reset. They knew that if they pushed this, look what they did. They changed.
They destroyed the economy. The reason it was just to destroy the economy. They knew everything.
No, it wasn't just to destroy the economy. It was just to destroy America.
Right.
Ultimately.
Right. Well, and Trump's presidency, to tarnish his presidency, to destroy our economy that was strong. And because they knew, if I knew that this virus wasn't going to wipe us out, they definitely knew. I traveled during COVID years. I traveled to Mexico. There were regular people saying, nobody's dying here. Mm-hmm. Like, this is all nonsense. Regular people knew that this is ridiculous, all this fear mongering. And he definitely knew.
Of course he knew. Of course he knew. But like you said, I think, Shirley, you were about to say, it wasn't just this idea of destroying America. Look what we have here now. We have an entirely different type of system. The online learning. Now people are doing more digitally through Zoom. We have an electoral system where it's not just election day, it's election month, it's mail-in voting. We have changed the way we do everything since COVID. And this is what they wanted to do.
In 4 short years our country in many ways, major ways, has been upside down, turned around, if you will. That's number one. I can't think of the guy's last name, but you talking about masks early in this. And I've been calling it scamdemic since the beginning. I've been calling it scamdemic almost since day one. I think his name was Jerome. I can't think of his last name. He was I think he was a public health official. Jerome something, the black guy. I remember him on the news saying, don't go out and buy masks. They're not useful. You don't need them, things like that. So, I mean, that was just one thing. Fauci comes along, or he gets more recognition, if you will, and he starts pushing these claims. And then he even got to the point where he basically says, I am science, right? So if you go against science, you're ultimately going against Fauci.
I am the truth and the way.
Right, exactly. I am the truth. You're right. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. So you're going to get, or reverse this whole scamdemic. I protested against it. And it was from the beginning because I didn't know all of the intricacies, but I knew that something this big, if you will, and all these sweeping policies were going to hurt communities, people, sick people who needed to be in the hospital. It just didn't make sense to me. It was too much, too soon, and too broad.
Well, we know what it's brought about. I mean, when you talk about the video we showed earlier and how Trump is this anti-globalist, America First candidate, when you look at everything, if you look at it from a high level, the scamdemic brought about digital connection. Digital connection means global connection. So now we have an atmosphere where we can be connected globally on a global scale, and they can push out whatever they want to push out on a global effort. You know, even with the online voting, not online voting, but mail-in voting and things like that. You know, this whole idea of this digital, you know, we talked about before how they're trying to implement digital pay. You know, we're seeing now less and less brick and mortar stores. You know, this whole cashless system kind of was really amplified in the COVID scamdemic lockdowns. All of this has really skyrocketed and amplified during this COVID thing. So who knows what's going to be next? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, again, his name was Jerome Adams. I just looked it up, the Surgeon General at the time, Jerome Adams. But like I said, 4 years, look how much has changed. And not only that, look how much fear was used to get many people, maybe the majority, I don't know, many people acting in a fearful way. I've said before, fear is a powerful motivator for good or bad. And the media, our government, local, federal, state, all across the country use the fear tactic to basically scare people into submission. That's what happened. And the people who did not, who pushed back, we were scorned and castigated. We were villainized. We were told we were the ones who were killing people. When the simplest answer in many cases was what it has always been: get outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, meet people face to face, keep those connections going. Yes, for people who needed to be masked or maybe, isolated, that's a place for that. That's a place for that in any kind of illness, if you will. But the majority of people were feared into submission.
Right. And like I was also going to say, it was a test how easy it is to control the society. So yes, when you have this digital communication and you tell people you can only communicate digitally, don't meet with each other, and literally that's actually unconstitutional that we cannot meet. Like we should be able to meet in person, and they were shutting down churches, any kind of events with more than, I don't know, was it 3 people, something like that. And so the thing is that we need to do our own research. That's number one. And that's another thing, that they were ridiculing people for doing their own research. For a while, we were all raised that you got to do your research, you have to find out for yourself. And all of a sudden, people who did their own research were considered conspiracy theorists.
Oh yeah.
Like, how ridiculous that we were ridiculed for looking for answers ourselves. And like, oh, are you a doctor that you can say these things? And so we have to do our own research, we have to talk to each other, we have to look, we have to meet. And if something doesn't make sense, it's probably not what they're trying to push on you.
And I hate to be what would you call it, a broken clock, but the idea of the inverse. So when we come upon things where, what is right looks wrong, or they make us think is wrong, and what's wrong is they make us think looks right, it's Satanism. Another thing that was really pushed within, or not pushed, I would say, but happened during this scamdemic, during the lockdowns, are suicides increased. And so when you do research, and please don't just take my word for it, I encourage everyone to research this, because I think, whatever religion you are, if it's an Abrahamic religion or just anybody, we don't really look up Satanism. We don't really look into what it is. One of the big tenets of it is suicide. So they get off on it. A lot Satanists they like for people to commit suicide because then it's something about they don't believe that will. It's something about they don't believe that will bring you to heaven or to with God. And so it's a big tenet within Satanism, suicide. We saw a lot of suicide increase due to these lockdowns. So again, and again, like as you mentioned, Yana, how this inverse happened, where things were going, truth looks like to be lies, and lies looks like to be truth. We're seeing this culture of this, and I believe personally that it's become much more prevalent within, at least than it has ever been within our lifetime. And I think
the whole transgender movement. That is exactly what they want us to look at something and that looks one way, that we know it is what it is. A woman is a woman, and they want to say, no, that's not a woman, that's a man, or this is not a man, this is a woman. And like literally they want us to twist our reality and to lie to ourselves when we know what is right. And so
one of the things,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the things I don't know if you, I think you just mentioned it, Yana, a few minutes ago, but how all during the scamdemic that they challenged the people who were doing their own research, right? And one of the things that was certainly fascinating was that even if you were not within the academy, right, or if you were in the academy and you had a difference of opinion, certainly a scientific basis for a difference of opinion, you were still castigated, which tells you right there, it was not about learning. It was not about trying to find, honest answers or being open to other possibilities to help find a cure or treatment. This was about pedagogy, demagoguery, only a one mind thinking. I remember the Great Barrington Declaration, spearheaded by Dr. J. Bhattacharya and others, right? These people have been world-renowned educators, researchers, epidemiologists, scientists. They have been recognized by the likes of Fauci et al., right? But yet, because they came out against what he was doing, on a scientific basis, not a personal basis, not opinion basis, they had data, then they were castigated. He and his peons went after them, discredited them. Up until now, were world-renowned, published papers, accomplished, and I mean competent in their own specialty or whatever, their own field. So this tells you right in and there, it was more of an agenda than it was science by a far stretch.
Yeah, they blocked doctors, real medical professionals who were not on the same page with them. They were blocked. They couldn't even. They were deplatformed. They were fired.
And this is what the World Economic Agenda. talks about it, where basically they have a campaign to push global environmental, social, governance, investment rules on financial institutions. So the strategy is to take all the most painful, unpopular, like what we went through throughout the scamdemic policies that the far left wants to enact, and transfer that responsibility for enacting those policies to faceless regulators and investors or people like Fauci. And we've seen just this was a trial, like you mentioned, Yana. Something else is coming. We just don't know when and what.
Yeah, it was a I don't know what you call it, a social phenomenon, mass whatever trials. But during the scamdemic, I should say, I just put a link in the chat. Brownstone's an organization that came out during the scamdemic, and they came out, and so I love them even now. They do a lot of research. They publish a lot of things about how the scamdemic is what I call it, how the scamdemic implemented, how they would implement, how the things were implemented, the effects. And this not just from America, but from all over the world. They have researchers and contributors, so you get a good international, if you will, a broad perspective. I encourage people to go to Brownstone. You can read their publishings for free. If you want to support them, do that as well. But it's a wealth of information. You can have perspectives and just to see how these policies played out worldwide.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, on Friday, a select subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic released 500 pages of transcripts of congressional interview with Fauci that was conducted in January of this year. Again, he mentioned in these interviews that he was asked if there were any scientific studies showing that the 6-foot social distancing guidelines were an effective deterrent to spreading the coronavirus. He said he wasn't aware of any. Same thing with the mask. So I hope that they continue to hold his feet to the fire. I know Glenn Beck and The Blaze have a very detailed documentary coming out, I believe, this week, talking about all of this coronavirus stuff. So definitely check out their YouTube page. And we will continue to bring you guys information as it comes out. This man, I contend, is one of the most diabolical people of our generation. And he knew it. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. I have a general, I call it my own rule, if you will, for my life, for life in general. If I don't care who it is or what organization it is, and that includes religion. If somebody tells me that I can't read something or I can't know something, I make a beeline to try to find out as much as I can about it, as much as I can, just because, if not just for the fact that they said you can't or don't do it. So anybody who tells you that, particularly that they are the only ones who have the information, the knowledge, the accuracy, the truth, go find and go investigate yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, don't let them. The thing is that people were scared, and that's how they played on fear. One of the things that our economic situation, so they attacked people's jobs. People could not. There were mandates, vaccine mandates. People were afraid to lose their jobs, and so that's another, I guess, reason for people to try to be more self-sufficient and have more small businesses where you can make decisions. So you're not working for a large organization that can say, can mandate whatever it is that they want, or have another way of how you can survive, have a plan B. So because when we have globalism, when we have communism, they are the ones who are setting the rules, and they will tell you exactly what you need to do. Under communism, there's one government rules everything, and all the organizations, all businesses are under the government's thumb. So one way that America should not be like this. This is not how America had started. So one of the things we have to get out of this idea that we have to work for someone. There's always going to be someone ruling over us. We can't have that mentality.
Yeah. And I encourage guys, because what I've been reading is a book entitled Karl Marx and the Satanic Roots of Communism. And this is some scary stuff. I mean, if it is correct and if it's going how this book is saying it's going, and if indeed Satanism is behind this, it's going to take courage. It's going to take courageous people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like you, Yana, like you, Shelley, to stand up against this. And when I say it's not just standing, it is pushing back against pain, against it's challenging, tough times we have ahead of us. If this is what it is, because these people are evil and they do evil for evil's sake. You know, it makes what the Nazis did to the Jews look like a day in the park. What if this is exactly what they're trying to implement, and it looks like it is, if we're talking about the stuff we're seeing.
Depopulation is one of their agendas. I mean, it's one of the biggest points.
Depopulation is they want to torture, and they hate religion. They hate people who believe in God, and it's torture for torture's sake. It's destroy to just destroy. So I encourage people to look into that book, Karl Marx and the Satanic Roots of Communism. I mean, what they're talking on there is exactly what I'm seeing in the world, and it's a little frightening. It really is. But we do have to move on. Speaking of this type of debauchery and things, there was a huge melee in Philly this weekend between anti-Israel marchers led by Queers for Palestine in Philadelphia. They blocked a gay pride parade. So you want to talk about craziness? I mean, this is so. Apparently, you had a situation where a mob of anti-Israel protesters faced off with participants in a gay pride parade. This was on Sunday. So again, we're in Pride Month, and it kicked off over the weekend. Hundreds of anti-Israel demonstrators belonging to an LGBT group blocked the Pride Parade's path and chanted, "Palestine will live forever, from the sea to the river." I have a video of this. This is ridiculous. Take a look here. What are your thoughts on this, Shelley? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Honestly, I'm confused.
Yeah.
I'm confused. I don't know. I can't get it straight of who's on which side, and are they against each other? I'm confused. That's all I can say. And where there is organized confusion, that's just what it is. It's not supposed to be understood because it's confusion. I thought they were on the same side.
Right. Looks like to me.
All of the left at some point, they are all vying for first status victimhood in the hierarchy. So that's only
Yeah. Before I get to you, Yana, I want to ask you, I mean, and you have Black people pushing themselves into this mess. I mean, Christian Black, the Black church, they are all putting themselves within this intersectionality. It's weird. It's why this is what they push. This is what the Black community, we're all one, with these rejects, with these. What are your thoughts there?
Well, when I see something like this, it gives me hope that because Marxists are not going to win. Seeing this, they're not going to win because they're just bunching everybody together. So this is Marxism. They put everyone who is considered, I guess, a lower classes or underclasses or I don't know, oppressed, and they put them all together in order to push the communist agenda. And they somehow they think it's going to work for them when it's like totally different ideas and people. And really, what's going to happen if this continues, let's say if nobody keeps them in check, if um not, people on the other side, the conservatives, the religious, the Christian people, the Jewish people who care about Israel, who not gonna step up against this mob, who's going to win at the end? In the end, are the Islamists.
That's what I was going to ask you guys.
Mhm.
Because one thing, as far as my research, I've been reading, as far as Marxism, now he had an issue with Judaism, with Christianity, but he did not push back against Islam, which was kind of weird to me. So that's what I was wondering. I mean, now we have here this kind of, queers, trans, and then they're pushing for a free Palestine. Well, I mean, is that why they're doing this? I don't understand.
I don't know if they know that that's why they're doing this, or if they think that's what they're ushering in. But I remember I was talking to one of our producers the other day, and I said that I was going to start saying not just anti-Americanism or communism, but there's an Islamo-fascist piece to all of this. And you see it in, I would say, pockets. You see it when even on some to some degree on the right, not as much as the left, but they want to usher in this more stringent version of order, structure, which these buzzwords are, the right loves these buzzwords, order and structure, but there's an extreme version of that is behind, or at least undergirding, all of this communism, if you will, globalism, and it is what I'm calling, and other people have called it as well, Islamofascism. That's a part of it.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was odd. I mean, because when you look into Islam, they do believe, that homosexuality is wrong and things like that. But when you do study communism, Marxism, they don't push back against Islam. Their main opposition is Christianity, Judaism. It's not so much against Islam. And I always wonder, well, why don't they push
So
back?
where did you see that they don't push back? Was
just from what I was reading with Karl Marx, he never made, in his writings, he did not mention his disdain for Islam. He did mention name Christianity and Judaism.
I mean, he was really generally against.
I don't think he knew. Honestly, I don't think it was a factor at the time in Europe. So he was addressing the classist system of Europe. He wanted to break down the classes, and a Christianity, which was a prevalent religion in Europe, it kind of maintained that class system. And then he looked into the hierarchy of God, then king, father,
one
mother.
Reason I think
Islam was not a factor. So, but in the Soviet Union, they did go after the Muslim faith as well.
But think about it this way. At least this is what I think. I'll say it this way. This is what I think. One reason why Islam may not have been more of a factor is that if you look at most countries where Islam is the law and is the way, if you will, most of those countries already have a large population where there are no rights anyway. So they're already there. And that's why I'm saying Islamofascism, if you will. It's already established by the government. Those people are already largely depressed, if you will. And I mean, maybe depressed from a psychological standpoint, but certainly a large percentage of them are already economically depressed. They don't have the rights, if you will, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that we tend to have in America and in the West in general. So those countries most of those countries where Islam is the religion, government religion, the sanctioned religion, the people by and large are already at the lower end of the totem pole, if you will.
Okay, that's a good point.
So they don't have much. They don't have much more to do because it's already established.
I mean, I just see it as, they're being, because Palestinians happen to be Muslim, it's just their religion is being used by Marxists as a prop also to say, well, see, you're oppressed because of your religion, so it gets them rallied up. So, but I think in the end, Marxist goal is not to have religion there. They wouldn't want, even in Islamic country, they would not want that country to be religious in the end.
Well,
But
I think too, like you mentioned, when you look at, and this goes along the lines of what Shelley mentioned, when you look at these countries that have Islam prevalent, it's more so of a fascist authoritarian regime. And so a lot of times within Marxism, you find that they cater or gravitate to these types of places because if you remove whoever they're putting that power in, they're praising, then you can put Marxism in that place. Whereas in Christianity and Judaism, or I'd say more Abrahamic religions, that idolatry is not easily infiltrated because we are told not idolatry is bad, and we can kind of go along with capitalism, with the free market, freedom, so I don't know.
I would say, but I said that Islamists will win if there would be a fight eventually between Marxists and Islamists. So because they're still stronger and they're here to stay. Islam is going to stay, regardless of what we think about it, what our opinion about that faith. They are going to stay, and we will have to deal with them and somehow coexist. Marxism will hopefully, will be destroyed eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, we covered a lot here tonight, ladies. Again, we're going to bring it all back to here. We have an election coming up in November. I want to get final thoughts as to how do you think this will play out as far as the themes that we've talked about tonight. Do you think it is such a big deal whether Trump is elected or not? In stopping this, what we've talked about, Marxism, Satanism, all these things. Now we'll start with you, Shelley. You have your Make America Great Again.
I really haven't decided who I'm going to vote for. I don't know. Maybe I'm still trying to ponder that, who I'm going to vote for. But I think it does make a difference. Let me also say this. As much as I am supporting voting the third time for President Donald J. Trump, I don't have any unrealistic expectation that he's going to be able, or he will change everything, that he is the man that's going to do it all. No, I'm not. I don't have those expectations. He can do some things, and I think he will, and I think he will be a bulwark, certainly, against some of these systems, if you will, that are trying to hasten the destruction of the United States of America.
All right, good point there. What are your thoughts there, Yana?
So one of the things that we should be doing this time around, there should be more oversight, like of the elections, because by Republicans, by our side, by just like we need to, the way that it happened back in 2020, it was horrible. And I don't try, like, honestly, I'm worried, I'm concerned. Like, they were saying, oh, we gotta vote, but I voted last time and I don't think my vote counted. So I think we need to have oversight. We have to be people who are able to go and see what is going on, how are they counting it. I don't know, we got to be more critical of what happens after we cast the vote.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, KJ. To your point, Yana, well, then I would encourage everyone certainly conservatives, Republicans, people on the right, even independents, to sign up in your local elections to be election judges, poll watchers, canvassers. Do that. Get informed about how your board of elections works. School board too, for that matter. But that's where you need to be. I mean, on election day and even after, when they're counting the votes, we actually need people to do those tasks.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I'll just piggyback on what you both said, specifically you, Shelley, about this election. You know, I definitely hope President Trump regains the presidency. I plan to vote for him as well. But again, you know, we can't put all of our eggs in one basket. And, you know, I do think if he is reelected, he would stop, or at least put a speed bump in this agenda that we see, this occult, this left, this Marxist, this globalist agenda. I do think he would put a speed bump on it. But what's coming is coming. And because we're in June, which they call Pride Month, I go back to Psalm 10:4, says, in the pride of his face, the wicked does not seek him. All his thoughts are, there is no God. And this is what we're seeing. This is what I think what we need to do more of, is connect the dots as to what is behind it all. Connect the dots to what is behind it all. Because until we do that, I truly believe there's no overcoming it. It's coming and we don't know how to prepare for it. And that's kind of like our mantra for 2024, to be aware and prepare. But in order to be aware, we need to connect the dots as to what is behind all of this and then prepare for it. So that does it for us tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out our merch. We have merch here on our website. You can go on to Pop and Politics. That's www.popandpoliticslive.com, and support us. Also, your super chats do go a long way for helping us produce conservative content. We love your comments, your super chats. All of that is great. We'll be back on Wednesday night live in the studio. So looking forward to connecting with you all then. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.
What's up, guys? We are the ladies of Pop and Politics. And guess what? We have merchandise. We got merch. Check it out.
Check it out.
We have a website, www.popandpoliticslive, where you guys can pick up the latest merchandise that we have here. Here's something. I use this every morning for my cup of tea. It's a Pop and Politics mug. Yeah, I drink every morning tea. And I love it. So definitely check it out. We've got some cute shirts on there. Shelly, you have a shirt there that you love, right? Yes, a cute shirt. And so definitely check it out. Again, www.popandpoliticslive.com. Appreciate the support. All right.
Go there now.
Yes.
There you go.